I decided to put 50 euros into an esports betting account to see if I could make some money. And this is what happened. So I love esports. Ever since the first video game tournaments came to be, they've been expanding the reach and popularity of video games to heights never seen before. Esports is an industry that has taken over and shows little signs of slowing down. One of these esports is League of Legends esports, which I am familiar with the most. I've spent a decent amount of time watching European League of Legends esports and playing League of Legends. So one day, a brilliant idea dawned upon me. Let's gamble. I understand the field quite well. If I can reliably guess the outcome of the match 70 to 80% of the time, always think rationally and without bias, and bet on teams with high value return, I should be able to make a decent amount of money out of it. So I decided to go for it, and the first thing I did was try to find a legit betting site, and how I did that was Google the best esports betting sites.
The sheer fucking will.
After my thorough due diligence was done, I created an account, deposited 50 euros, eventually, because my bank kept thinking I was getting scammed, and began my betting endeavors. And so now the question was, what do I bet on? I was going to bet on the League of Legends EMEA Championship, or LEC, and so I had the choice between the 10 teams currently in the league. And it was only the very start of the spring season, so most of the matchups that day looked pretty coin flippy. Except one, which was Fnatic versus XL. You see, both of these teams had suboptimal winter seasons and eventually finished 9th and 10th in the standings. XL had an unfortunate and disappointing split since their roster looked quite strong on paper, and Fnatic didn't make it to playoffs for the first time in the organization's history. And so these giants were about to kick off the 2023 spring season. But there was one key detail. Fnatic, on paper, made some pretty interesting roster changes. They got the top laner Oscarinen, which, despite from the outside perspective seeming a questionable decision to bench Wunder, a solid veteran top laner who performed relatively well in winter, Oscarinen was rumored to be the carry player Fnatic had been needing for so long. And they also got support Avian, which also made a lot of sense, and he was going to replace Rux, who had a subpar season. And despite both of these teams being quite bad in winter, Fnatic seemed better then. And with these new changes, I believe this matchup was far from a 50-50 and heavily Fnatic favored. So I put 10 of my 50 euros on Fnatic.
Caught underneath his Nexus towers have already been razed to the ground, and XL will match Winter. They claim their first win of spring.
What I failed to consider was that Oscarinen was still very much a rookie player and that they didn't really have much time to scrim with him. And also there was a teensy-weensy draft diff. But that's fine, you know, you win some, you lose some, just a minor betting slip-up. I'm sure the next bets will work out a lot better. So the next day I bet on 3 teams. I decided to put one safe bet of 10 euros on Vitality, who was fighting the aforementioned XL, since Vitality had already been kind of a super team in winter, who turned out a bit more mediocre than expected and eventually finished 5th. They now had one of the best ADCs in Europe upset, and looked like a genuinely strong team. The other bet was on Heretics, who were going up against Koi, because Koi to me didn't seem that strong after winter, and Heretics on the other hand seemed a bit underrated. And also because the odds were so juicy. And the third team I bet on was Fnatic, again, because I got unlucky before, but surely now my luck will turn around and I'll be back on track. I lost again. The Vitality bet went as expected, netted me a whopping 3 euros. Koi Heretics gave me cardiac arrest, and Fnatic, we don't talk about Fnatic. Alright, so at this point I was down some cash, so I wanted to clap back as soon as possible. To do that, I bet on Astralis versus SK Gaming. What the fuck was I thinking? Yes, I lost, because apparently SK Gaming are good now, that's how it is. Next bet was for Mad Lions against Koi, which... hey, I actually won. Alright, we're getting somewhere, we're climbing. Oh. So here I made an extremely calculated risk of betting against the Winter Split champions, who were fighting a bottom place team, on the grounds that he threw against Astralis the match before. And also because, dear god, just look at that ratio. Like, how can you resist that? How can you resist? Alright, morals were low at this point, so I had to really dig deep to win back what I've lost. Use the full knowledge of the LEC that I had obtained over the years and game experience to show that you can reliably gamble on esports. And so I bet on Fnatic again.
to wander.
I also bet Vitality against SK, which worked out quite well, which further solidified Vitality as a solid and reliable team that's probably a contender for a title. So after all that, I had this much money, and to be honest, I was tired of this stupid idea and went into full gambler mode and was just ready to all in on something. And despite the love that I feel for Fnatic and their members, especially Reckless, I realized that I had clung to false hopes for too long and that I had to bet with my brain, not my heart. And one of the upcoming matches with Vitality G2. And through all the hardship, the one team that didn't let me down and consistently came through was Vitality. So I again looked at the savory odds, I looked at the fact that G2 threw against Astralis 2 games ago, and bet my last sack of coins on Vitality.
Down at his own base as G2 will break through Vitality, as G2 will find the win.
And there it all went. My money flew to heaven, never to return again. Which sucks, but hey, at least I've tried something new and learned the dangers of gambling. Maybe it's not a complete loss. And hey, at least I didn't bet on Fnatic again, am I right? Well, what's going on? Well, why is the music changing? Well, why?
You traitor, you put me in chains, I set me free. I remember all the pain, it's true. I hate you, I love you, I hate you, I love you. Heartbreaker, my savior. I believe in all that we could be, even if we
It's the Nexus!
we're better together, we're better together.
Are you fucking kidding?
We get mega f***ed up at MetLife. Bro, I'm so